Is it going?
I believe the broadcast is live.
It says
Something
live.
just flashed on the screen.
There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show with SportsbookReview.com. I'm your host, Leah Martin, joined again today with Michael and Kyle. We're good. It is Michael. We're live.
We are live.
Michael.
Am I going to have to Bill O'Reilly this?
Michael, we're live.
Is it not showing him or something? I see him just fine.
We're fine. Just let me talk. We're live right now. So, yes, it's me, Michael, and Kyle today. And there's no one here in the office, and it's just us. Happy Saturday. So we're going to discuss League of Legends Mid-Season Cup Finals. Michael, you got me all mixed up. So
all according to plan.
That's it. Yeah.
All according to plan.
Of live TV. Come on, it's great.
Live. So yes, League of Legends Mid-Season Cup Finals. We're down to the last two teams. It'll be best of 5. We have Fun Plus Phoenix versus Top Esports. But before we get into any League of Legends talk, always give us a like, subscribe to our channel. That way you never miss a show. Also follow us on Twitter at SBR Sports Pigs, as well as on Instagram at SBR Sports Pigs. Now let's get to chatting. So first of all, you guys had a wonderful game or day yesterday with the semifinals, correct?
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
I always have a great day. Every time.
It was a scary start. I started to get the messages at 2 a.m. It's nothing but then everything got right with the universe. So very fortunate. Like to see that. And it's a good start to the weekend.
Yeah, I'm never scared. I've never lost. And I'm the best.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Michael.
JDG, the worst. Also, hello to all the suffering JDG fans out there. Haha. How you like that? You don't like it? Too bad.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Kyle. Or Michael. See, Michael, you mixed me up today. All right. So let's just get to it now. So we're going to start today, since we're down to the last two teams. We're going to break down each lane and kind of compare and contrast between the two teams. So we're going to start with the top lane. Michael, I'll start with you on this one. Can you give me your breakdown for the top lane with these two teams?
Sure. So for FPX, we have Khan. Khan is a transfer from Korea. He was on T1 last year, and he was considered the best top laner in the world. And I think his transfer fee was like several $1 million, probably like $3 million or something like that. And he didn't even play most of the spring season between coronavirus and just like not having a lot of practice time with the team. So he is a very highly touted top laner. And on the other side, we have Zoom. Zoom is another highly touted
369
top laner. Or 369. Sorry. What I was going to say is that Khan beat Zoom. And a lot of the reason people like 369 is because 369 played well in the finals against Zoom. But Khan is just a better player than 369 in general. 369 plays some carry champions. He's really good at Aatrox. He plays Jace. But overall, I think Khan is the better player because he's better at losing. And in League of Legends, it's important to be a good loser. Because if you lose lane and don't feed your brain off, then you're good.
All right. What about you, Kyle? Do you agree with that, or what's your take on the top lane?
I do. I agree with a lot of that. And first things first, let me say hi to the Anthony and Kellen in the chat. Thanks for joining us. That's really cool. It's always nice to have you guys joining us, and you got to watch us clunk through the beginning, which I love. I think that's how the world needs to work. Need to laugh.
That was all scripted. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nowadays, that's right. It's all a work. It's all a work. But I totally agree. 369's been playing really, really well, especially since Jackie Love rejoined the team. I think you've kind of seen him take his game to another level. But if you watched Khan last night, he, in my opinion, saved FPX, especially in that second game. The third game, excuse me. FPX had a lead, but JDG was closing in, had the gold lead, and it was Khan who really did great work against Zoom, who Michael talked about is an excellent top laner. So I would give the slight advantage here to FPX. But I don't think 369 is some overmatched top laner. I do think it's relatively close. Slight edge to Khan.
All right. Now let's move on to the jungle lane. Kyle, we'll continue with you. What's your take on that lane?
This is an interesting lane. I like Karsa a lot for top esports. I like how he plays with Knight and with Jackie Love. I'm a big top esports fan anyways. So big shout out to mom. I like that. I love
Right?
that. I love that.
Shout out to
Big
mom.
shout out to mom. So I do like Karsa a little bit more than Tian in the jungle. Tian can sometimes seem like he gets overwhelmed. When you saw when JDG was successful yesterday, it was because Kanavi was sort of overwhelming him in the jungle. Now, a lot of that was because of the blind pick, but slight advantage for me for Karsa, top esports.
All right. How about you, Michael? Do you agree with that? What's your take on jungle?
So I think that Karsa has been a known quantity for years because he was one of the best players from the smaller region in China. He used to be in like the second division, but they still like would send a team to the world playoffs, and everybody loved him because he was like the best player in a bad region. And I think that he's probably overrated now, just based off of name recognition. And I think that Tian's probably underrated because of how good Doinby is and how much credit he gets for everything. So if we're looking at like the meta champions and what's really strong in the jungle right now, I think FPX has an advantage in the jungle because they're playing Kindred and Graves and these carry champions that we need. So I think I just prefer FPX. Like the problem is when they played last time, when FPX played JDG, they gave up Graves first, and it's like they didn't understand that part of the meta. They weren't playing carry junglers like Kindred or Graves, but since then, they've kind of adapted it into their own play style, so they're moving in the right direction. The one thing I'd say about the difficulty of analyzing different players is it's hard to separate a player from their team's performance because almost everyone's going to look good in a win, and almost everyone is going to look bad in a loss. Right. So it's kind of tough to have like sweeping judgments about a player's form that's separate from their team's recent form.
Okay. Cool. All right. So let's just move on to the mid lane. Michael, I'll start again with you on this one. Can you give me your take for this matchup in the mid lane?
Sure. So Knight is, in my opinion, overrated right now. Everyone says that he's either the best mid laner in the world or the second best mid laner in the world. He's definitely a very good player, but like I said, it's a team game, and without the help of his teammates and being in winning positions, it's impossible for a mid laner to carry a team by themselves. And you have to remember, like the announcers and the shoutcasters, like is what they're called. Their job isn't to be correct about how the game is going to go. Their job is to make it exciting for the fans to watch. So a lot of the people who are watching don't really have any clue what's going on, even if they play League of Legends, but they just listen to what the announcers have to say and they kind of just take it as the truth. So when you watch a game like last night, one team was down like 8,000 gold and the announcer was like, oh, it might be over for them. It's like, yeah, it's been over for like 10 minutes. You just didn't want to say anything because that's boring to watch. But yeah, in the mid lane, I think Doinby is more of a macro player. I always have a preference for the macro players because I think that's more important for team success in the long run. Knight is more of a flashy player. So it'd be like somebody in the NBA who scores a ton of points but doesn't necessarily contribute on the defensive end or like in any other stats. And then you have Doinby, who's like an all-around player, and some of the stuff that he does doesn't show up in the stat sheet. So I always have a preference for those kinds of players, and for that reason, I like Doinby a little bit more than Knight.
All right. How about you, Kyle? What are your thoughts on mid lane?
Sure. I'm actually the complete opposite, especially League of Legends. Someone who's kind of newer to it and trying to get excited watching it. Give me that flash of Knight. I think he has been awesome. Top Esports has been awesome. And as you know, I love to dabble in the League of Legends daily fantasy side. So Knight has been my boy. I don't think there's a whole lot separating these two. And Mike makes a great point that you're going to look great in a win and a team win, and you're going to look bad in a team loss. It's all very much correlated. So it is easy to overrate or underrate a player. But overall, for me, if I had to choose one player that I want to watch, who I know is going to be solid, I mean, they're both excellent. Doinby is probably the best player on FPX. But I like Knight quite a bit.
All right. Now, continuing with you, Kyle, can you give me your take on the bot lane now with this matchup?
Bot line, it's my boy. It's my favorite player, Jackie Love. I like Jackie Love a lot. He's fantastic. He definitely has the advantage, in my opinion, over LWX. I think you could put Jackie Love on any team, and they would be exponentially better. I like Jackie Love quite a bit. Ever since he joined Top Esports and replaced Fodic, that team has taken it to another level. They were kind of underachieving. They weren't playing as well. They weren't as consistent. As soon as they got Jackie Love back, that team changed. I think this is probably, in my opinion, the biggest separation of talented players at any lane in tonight's matchup is the bot lane with Jackie Love over LWX.
All right. How about you, Michael? What's your take on the bot lane?
Well, I agree that Jackie Love is a great player. We were on that immediately. Like right when they signed him, we saw it on Twitter, and I was like, well, Jackie Love is great. This is going to make the team a lot better. A lot of people were saying like, oh, I don't know, it's going to take time for him to synergize with the team, which is just mind-blowing because League of Legends is not that kind of game. It's not like you're going from system to system in like the NFL or NBA where you have to completely relearn the game that you've been playing because so much of it is taken from the solo queue ladder. And that's kind of why at this point in time, the AD carry really isn't a very important position in terms of like creating a winning difference for your team. So a lot of the AD carries are interchangeable. Fodic wasn't good enough. And Jackie Love, I think more of what he's contributing is like shot calling ability and just being able to go 50-50 a little bit better. So like what I said with Khan is he's better at losing than what Fodic was. So I think that Jackie Love and LWX are both very good. Not much of a difference in mechanical ability. And I think that Doinby is a better shot caller than Jackie Love. So I'm not really too concerned with the difference in the bot lane because I think the win will be created somewhere else on the map.
All right. Now, Michael, I'll continue with you. Can you give me your take on the support lane?
Sure. So supports really don't matter. When you're watching the game, most of the time you're not going to pay attention to the support because their job is to make sure the AD carry doesn't whine like Kyle's dog. So basically, you have your support. You have your support on a leash. You have your support on a leash, and you just drag him around the map. And his job is to ward stuff and pick up your poop and make sure that nobody kills you, and to be a shot caller. So there are some supports out there that kind of have like the ability to have a flashy play or like make a large mechanical outplay. But these two supports are not known for that. So it's really inconsequential. Unless you're bad as a support player, no one's really going to pay attention to you. The only one that's really been talked up is like Lumao in the finals for JDG because he had that one ultimate that was crazy, even though I think it was mostly luck. And then a lot of people were talking about Keria from Dragon X because he was out of control for a lot of the regular season. But other than that, you're not going to find a huge difference in supports in pro play.
All right. How about you, Kyle? Do you agree with that or do you disagree?
Yeah, I agree with that quite a bit. I guess if you were looking to try to pin an advantage in the support, it would be that FPX has been using the same support all spring, whereas Top Esports, QQ and you and Yaya have kind of been switching in and out. So maybe from a consistency standpoint, but I think Michael's dead on with that. It's the least consequential position on the map or on the teams. So I don't put a whole bunch of weight into the supports.
All right. You'll keep that in mind. Now let's get into match odds with Fun Plus Phoenix versus Top Esports. On Pinnacle, we have Fun Plus Phoenix plus 117, Top Esports minus 142. Kyle, I'll start with you on that one. What's your take on that matchup with those odds?
Well, I actually like both numbers. Neither of them are too crazy. The plus over on Bovada, we have plus 110 for FPX, minus 145 for Top Esports. I'm picking Top Esports to win this one. I know FPX beat them in the first round, that little round robin single game. And it was actually a pretty convincing win, 20 kills to 5. They kind of controlled the map and easily won that game. If you also look back, they played about a month ago, April 20th, and Top Esports won that 2-0. They had one game which was very, very close, that big 45 kill game that we talked about a few days ago when this tournament started. And then the second game, they won easily 12-2. Both of these teams are really capable of winning. I do think this is a tough one to pick. For me, Top Esports has done me right for a while now, so I'm going to keep riding that train. Give me Top Esports minus 145.
All right, Michael, do you agree with that? Again, the odds on Pinnacle are Fun plus Phoenix plus 117, Top Esports minus 142. What's your take on that?
Sure. So I agree that it's close, and I agree that both teams have a pretty good shot at winning. But I think that Fun plus Phoenix should be the favorite in this matchup. I think part of the reason why Top Esports is favored is because of Knight and because there's been so much attention paid to him. And like there's this huge narrative about like, oh, he's going to be the best and he's going to take over the entire world championship in the fall. And I mean, it's just really overblown at this point. I'm not saying that they can't win a world championship, but they're basically saying they have like a 20% chance to win the world championship or something by the way they talk about them. So I think that I definitely prefer Fun plus Phoenix. I think that it should probably be like 60-40 for Fun plus Phoenix. So you do have a lot of edge on FPX again. And the reason I think that there's such a large difference right now is because of the meta. So if we take a look at 10.7 and compare it to 10.10, which they're playing on now, the only changes that have happened have improved Doinby's ability to carry the game by split pushing and picking champions that have global abilities. So champions like Twisted Fate and Galio are extremely good. Champion like Rise is very good, which he's been playing. Karma's really good, which he's been playing, as well as Rumble. So if you look at a lot of the pick ban phases for the past couple of months, most teams spend at least 2 bans on Doinby. But we're also in a meta that is extremely jungle focused. So it's like you need to ban Graves, Kindred, Nidalee, like all these carry champions. So you're stuck leaving Tian or Doinby on a champion that they're going to be very good at. Like obviously all these professional players are good at the champions or most of the champions that are in the meta, but they're just next level. So I think that even if you banned 5 of Doinby's champions, he would have something else to default to. So I think from a pick ban perspective, there's definitely advantage for FPX. In terms of shot calling, I think there's definitely an advantage for FPX. And that's basically it. But it's a lot. I really do think that FPX should be favored here.
Okay, so I'm just going to recap. Michael, your pick would be Fun plus Phoenix, and Kyle, yours would be Top Esports.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, well, that's going to be intense. I want to see who wins that. All right, so let's just head on over to the live chat real quick. I'm going to scroll up to the top. Let's see. Shout out to Zook. Shout out to Kellen Foster. Shout out to Mama. Let's see. Kellen Foster asked, are there blind picks tonight? Pretty sure there are, correct? Michael,
yep,
you can answer that one.
Game 1, yeah.
There we go.
And
Okay.
that can really determine that first game. We saw that with JDG. They got Nidalee, and there was just nothing FPX could do. So that champion is so overpowered. So it is kind of something to keep an eye on. But like for me, I didn't even touch on this. I love the over. I think this goes 5 games. I really do. I think these 2 teams go back and forth, and you get that over 4.5 games plus 160. So I kind of like that too.
All right. And then Kellen Foster asked again, so what happened in that first game for FPX versus JD Gaming?
Just kind of what I just said. Just kind of what I just said. That blind pick, they weren't able to ban Nidalee, I believe is the name, and they just went off. Kanavi just absolutely went off. He destroyed everything. He was 3 levels ahead the whole match. There was absolutely nothing FPX could do. But then when they got back to the draft ban phases for the rest of the match, FPX drafted better, played better, team fought better. So I think they really just kind of got blindsided, no pun intended, by the blind pick.
Okay. Let me keep scrolling. Cameron Winter, shout out to Cameron Winter. He said, had a clean sweep with my League of Legends cappers last night. So shout out to you guys. Let's just keep going. BJ, what's up? Let's keep going. Kellen Foster, do you think these games go longer? Kyle, you basically just gave your take on that. Michael, let's hear from you what you think on that. Do you think these games will go longer?
So I'm not sure if they're asking about like the actual game time or the length of the series. I think that both will. I think that the average game time will be higher because, like I said, both of these teams are pretty strong macro teams, and that will kind of put a larger emphasis on all the dragons and barons throughout the game. So I could definitely see the average game time being higher. So I'm not sure what lines are being posted right now for average game time, but there may be a good spot for a couple of overs, specifically at the end of the match or at the end of the set when like it's really high pressure. But in terms of number of games played, I think that I would want to make it 4 games because I think that the pick ban pressure that FPX is going to have should be very impactful. The other thing that I haven't really even thought of is Knight has a couple of champions that he's like extremely good at. I think that Doinby will probably have something prepared that he hasn't shown on stage yet. So the more I think about it, the more I like FPX. I would say probably 4 games like I did yesterday.
Okay. Let's keep going then. Shout out to Oscar. Hey, everybody. And then he said, first match, first blood, who draws it first?
Whew. Well, it's going to happen early in the match. You saw these Chinese leagues teams like to go after it. And I think you kind of saw FPX tried more of a scaling composition in that first match. And I know we talked about that blind pick kind of caught him too. But after that, they changed their philosophy and both teams were going at it early. So for that first game, if one of those teams gets an over dominant champion, like a Graves or something, and it's not able to be banned, that's who's going to have the advantage there. There's no way of knowing who's going to get that. But since I'm picking top esports and everything else, give me top esports for first blood too. Why not?
All right. And then Kellen Foster again, he said, if FPX is using Doinby as a shot caller, getting everyone into position, does that allow Chris to just focus on play rather than every aspect of the game? Michael, I can have you answer that one.
So it's more like when you have a primary shot caller and then like if you have a primary shot caller that's not a support or a jungler, it's not necessarily better for your team. And most teams have multiple shot callers, or at least everybody's like communicating and giving out information so that someone will eventually be able to make the right decision. The reason why Doinby is such a great shot caller is because he understands how to shot call from like a game that involves split pushing. And he's also very good at playing when his team is losing. So those are kinds of things that are much more difficult and require more like intuition, because you need to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, what your opponent's strengths and weaknesses are at any point in the game, and then trying to exploit those. So basically when he has a champion like Rise or Twisted Fate, he can prolong the game and give his team more time to like get their feet underneath them and continue farming and continue gaining gold and just stretch out the game. So I think that's kind of the difference between Doinby and most other shot callers. So it doesn't really help Crisp in any like real substantive way, but it's just less pressure for him. So I guess it's kind of indirectly helping him.
Okay, cool. Kyle, do you agree with that or no?
100%. And big shout out to Kellen. Rocket launch, you're right.
Yeah.
Wishing that all goes well. Please
yes.
Well.
Oh, the one thing I would say about the first blood, I think that I like FPX to get first blood, and if I had to pick the player on FPX to get first blood, it would probably be Khan. I think FPX understands that bringing him into the lineup changes how they have to play, and Doinby is the perfect mid laner to have on a team that has a carry top laner and an AD carry who also wants to be focused, and so his ability to move from side lane to side lane with the champions that he plays gives him an extra advantage. So if FPX has an advantage in the jungle and the mid lane, they can take those 2 advantages and go to one of the side lanes pretty easily. So I think that if any book is like actually posting this, I would probably just bet Khan to get first blood in every single game, because I think that they're at their best when he has an advantage. 369, like I said, he has played well in some of these matches against other great top laners, but if there was a lane that I would attack, it would be top lane, because it just fundamentally changes how the game gets played out. If your top laner is at a huge disadvantage, he's kind of on an island and has to fend for himself, and the game can get out of control pretty fast. So I would look for FPX to exploit that matchup specifically. So I would try to find FPX first blood with Khan specifically.
Okay. All right, Kyle, do you agree with that?
Well, I think Top Esports is going to get the first kill, but I mean, what Mike says makes total sense, and he's not wrong. You kind of saw when FPX had success, that's what they were doing. Khan was roaming up there, and he would get them off to that early advantage by being aggressive and getting that first kill. So I certainly agree, if FPX gets it, it would be Khan. So I agree with that completely.
All right, wonderful. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for dropping your knowledge. Again, you guys are so amazing. Good luck again tonight. I hope you guys come out winning with some cash. So if you aren't following the guys on Twitter, definitely give them a follow. You can follow Kyle at DFS Bachelor, and you can follow Michael at League of Items. Also, give SBR a follow at SBR Sports Picks, as well as on Instagram at SBR Sports Picks. And like always, hit that bell button and subscribe to our channel. That way you never miss a show. So again, thank you guys so much for your time. Again, good luck, and until next time.
Bye-bye, JGG fans.